parable of the unforgiving elder brother, or famously known as the parable of the prodigal son. The aim of the gospel narrative was to make known God's unconditional love and always forgiving as portrayed by the Father in this story. Three important figures here. These are archetypes. First, the prodigal son. The second, the ever-forgiving father. And third, the unforgiving elder brother. Deep in our unconscious are these three archetypes, where it dwells, and in some points in our lives, we have the tendency to be mischievous like the prodigal son, or be loving and ever forgiving like the father, or be cautious and unforgiving like the elder brother. This images brings energy in us as we battle and struggle through life. This could be shadows when repressed, unrecognized, untamed, and when we let each of these overrule the self to the point of exhaustion. But anything that burns to exhaustion is not good to the self unless it brings deeper peace and wholeness. Without balancing these forces, there would be no peace in one's self. One need not be condemned, but instead embraced, because each is nothing but a fragment of the self. Let us focus on a real issue to where the archetype of the elder brother emerged in. In Catholic or Christian tradition, the image of the elder brother is lauded, interpreted as jealous and envious, traits that are distasteful and disgusting, but these are traits which each of us could possibly have and therefore relegated to the shadow. But what could be the reason for the jealousy and resentments? To understand this, we would need to dive deeper into the unconscious and not make any judgment. After all, the jealousy, envy, and resentment wouldn't come about out of nothing. Something was triggered that threatens the ego or even the well-being of the whole self. Behind is the darkness of the shadow, but in front is the light that exposes the reality around us. The conscious self need only to be aware, see, and listen. The elder brother seems to be an upright person. The narratives reveal that he experienced betrayals. To survive the harsh realities of life, one has to protect oneself. He knows his younger brother was abusive, and he sees the father's unconditional love and forgiveness. He was worried of the younger brother's capability to reoffend. He was cautious. We all have the elder brother in us. We have loved and have forgiven many times, and some could have brought us pains and could be traumatic. And to survive, one has to protect oneself and understand the reality that people cannot be forced to change. We can only hope. And however and how many times we forgive them, they will never change. God's forgiveness is infinite and unconditional. But God is God, and we are not God. No matter how we try our best to follow and imitate Christ, we are human beings whose capacity to endure pain is not infinite. Yes, Christ died and endured the sufferings from the hands of abusers and narcissists. But Jesus was also careful of them and not to take their bait, not allowing them to manipulate him. But he succumbed to the pressure when he lost all his supports from his followers. Being cautious is human. To be foolish in loving and forgiving is okay if it is truly uplifting the self and the beloved. But in the midst of abusive relationship, allowing the abuse and manipulation is detrimental to the mental health of everyone around us, including the self. Consciously encountering people like the prodigal son, a narcissist, could scare one who has been abused and manipulated. The reaction calls to protect oneself, and when pressured to deal with the prodigal son, the elder archetype emerged to warn of the dangers.